nice to have a gavel if you were a teacher? We got some.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to call to order the board meeting for March 24th of the New Prague Area Schools. And we have everybody here except Kim Holden, who is on vacation this week. At this time, I'd like to have everybody stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on our agenda is the speech team recognition.
Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
I'd like to welcome up Sam Lewis. It looks like Sam brought everybody from New Prague High School who's not.
And he did this when there's a break, too.
And they're all going to
This
talk
is
at once.
impressive, so I'll let Sam take it from here. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. And then just to clarify, this is only about a third to half of the team. You know, it's spring break, so getting everybody together is going to be kind of tricky. Just have some stats for you. We were asked to kind of highlight our success of this season, like how last year we had quite a successful season with Mallory getting to state, Taylor Peterson almost getting to state. And we just want to let you know where we're at this point. And for those of you who don't know me, like Mrs. Cuff, I know you're new to the board. I teach language arts up at the high school, and this is my 12th year of coaching with the New Prague speech team. Speech is a Minnesota State High School League of competitive public speaking. There are 13 categories, and every contestant picks one of those categories, and over the season, they become the master of their one topic or their one script within their category. So this year, we have 24 students in total, grades 9 through 12, participating across 10 of Minnesota State High School League's 13 categories. We've been to 8 tournaments so far this season. Until Northfield, which was our most recent meet, we had at least 3 or 4 team members break finals and place at any one of our given meets. We have a total first placements of 5 so far for this season. We did earn the second place Small Schools Team Award at the Jordan Tournament on February 8th. We've overcome a lot of hurdles. We've had a lot of scheduling conflicts. We've had various illnesses, as I'm sure other activities have also had. Several of the people on the team are also involved in Emotion or the one-act play or Boy Swim and Dive, YIG, Model UN, and so there's sometimes they can't come to some meets, and yet they still participate in all of those roles. Our 2AA section tournament is the big state qualifier for this year, and that it will be held at Mankato West High School on April 12th. And I know one of the questions in your guys' mind is, do we have a shot at state like how we did last year? And because I don't really want to jinx anything, all I'm going to say is that we do have some power on the team this year. And I personally, as a coach, have my eyes on 5 people, maybe 6, who definitely have a shot. But it's going to kind of depend on variables of the next few weekends and how things kind of play out. It's going to depend on competition at 2AA tournament on April 12th and several other factors. So stay tuned. We've had some good community highlights. We hosted our own invitational high school meet for the first time in years. We themed it Fight the Dragon. That's a common thing in speech. Jordan hosts theirs as a dinosaur theme. Mankato East did a duck theme, so we did a dragon theme. And we had 8 visiting teams come and compete. It was great. This past Thursday, we presented at the Fine Arts Showcase. Roughly half the team presented their best minute of their speech, or they discussed their category. And regularly we have shout outs over our PA system on Monday mornings with the Pledge of Allegiance up at the high school via Vice Principal Wetchka. We have our social media updates, and we have stats regularly printed to the New Prague Times. So here are some just pictures of the awards and things we've been doing across the season. The orange ribbons in the upper right are from our when we went to Farmington, the top center is Jordan when we won that second place team award. The top left is Rosemont, and then various pictures thereof. Northfield does a really cool photo booth thing where they've got the talking bubbles. They can hold up a stick with their category or some characteristic about them. So that is the highlight of our season. And what I'm going to do now is, for those who can make it, they're going to come up to the mic and just briefly introduce themselves.
My name is Dwayne Menorkpour. I'm in the 12th grade. I've been in speech for 7 years, and my category is discussion.
My name is Harley Floyd. I've been in speech for 4 years. I'm a sophomore, and I am in informative speaking.
My name is Molly Stika. This is my first year on the speech team. I am a sophomore, and my category is poetry.
My name is Lily Kiefer. I'm a ninth grader. I've been in speech for 4 years, and my category is original oratory.
My name is Camille Copeland. I am a ninth grader. This is my first year in speech, and I am in poetry.
My name is Alana Benavides. I'm a sophomore. This is my second year in speech, and my categories are drama and duo interpretation.
My name is Cooper Christensen. I'm in ninth grade. This is my third year of speech, and I'm in duo interpretation.
My name is Rowan Anderson. I'm a sophomore. I have been in speech for 2 years, and I'm in humorous interpretation.
All right, do you guys have any questions for us?
Yes, the significance of I talk to walls.
Okay, so if you ever go to a speech meet, it's very common to see people up and down the hallways and locker banks. They are practicing their speech to the wall right before they go into a round with a judge, especially if they are in a draw category where they just pulled the question they're going to answer. They just pulled the title for which story they're going to read. They have a half-hour prep time, and it's very common outside the room for them to be practicing to the wall the thing they're going to say in some elaborate way.
Nice. That's
Yep.
cool.
If you haven't seen it, it's freaky, but it's so cool. Because you walk by and you hear little bits here and here. Oh, that one's oratory. Oh, that one's poetry. Oh, that one's not. Okay. It's really cool to watch.
Fun.
What time do you guys start in Mankato? Do you know?
On April 8th?
Yeah.
We'll be there
April
by 8.
12th?
First round will probably be 8:45 or 9.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and for the good year that you've had.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Next, swim
We're gonna
and
have
dive
pictures.
recognition. Oh,
Come on.
We gotta take pictures.
I didn't see the sunglasses. All right.
Come on up. This is what the cool kids do. We're going to take a quick picture. We're going to take a quick picture if you don't mind.
Jenny, have you been to a speech meet? Oh, I love it. I used to judge quite a bit,
Oh.
and that was hard because I really liked some. You're so good, but you're so good.
Oh, sure. It's not coming out of my check, is it?
Ooh, Doodalicious.
Thanks again.
Thanks for coming.
Next, we have swim and dive recognition.
Go ahead. I'd like to welcome Dakota Becerra, who's going to introduce two of our swim and divers. Talk a little bit about a very successful season. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name is Dakota Becerra. I'm the head coach for our boys swim and dive team here at New Prague. I'm also the aquatic coordinator at the Fitness and Aquatic Center. I'm here with Jacob Bisick and Brennan Panka just to share a little bit about our boys swim and dive season this past winter. Both Jacob and Brennan are seniors this year, so they will be leaving us. Unfortunately, they've both had a huge impact on our team in so many fantastic ways. I just want to start off by saying that this team is only 4 years old, so these kids, as well as a couple of their fellow seniors, are our first kids to be able to make it through this program all 4 years of their high school career, which is already an amazing accomplishment as is. And then to have the success that they've had has been really incredible to watch. So overall, a couple of highlights from this season. These two, as well as a couple of our other kids on the team, broke every single record except for 2 for our high school team. They also broke a total of 4 of our pool records. So we'll see their names and then New Prague all over our record boards quite a bit, which is always fun for us. Our championship season started off at sections for won AA down in Rochester. Brendan was able to win the 200 freestyle race and took third in the 100 free. Jacob won the 500 free race at sections and took fifth in the 100 breasts. Both of them qualified for their individual events for state, whether it was placing in top 2 or by time, so they both got to swim both of their individuals at state. We also took fourth at sections for our 200 freestyle relay, and we were able to qualify with time to go to state with that race as well. At state, Brendan took 10th overall for the 200 free and 12th overall for the 100 free. Jacob took 19th for the 500 and for the 100 breaststroke, and our relay took 18th overall. So those were all of the highlights that I wanted to share, and then I have both of the boys here for some questions for you guys.
I've gotten to know Jacob a little bit as a part of my superintendent student advisory group, so feel free to pepper him with questions. He's ready for it.
How do you like him?
Pretty good.
There you go.
Are you enjoying the advisory program that Dr. Valmuth has put together?
Yeah, I think it's very good. I wish we would meet a little bit more. It seems kind of sporadic, but other than that, it's been really good and been a great forum for us to like talk through different problems and different successes that we've had at the school.
Great. Good. Anybody else?
I got to talk to you a little bit before the meeting, but tell us about your future plans.
I'm going to Eau Claire for social studies education and political science, and then also swimming.
You're going to swim there? You're going to swim? Good for you.
I'm going to the University of St. Thomas to major in biology and minor in music and liturgy. I'm planning to go to dental school after college or medical school.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Set those goals high.
Is it photo op time again?
Photo op.
Yay!
Okay.
Congratulations on your season.
Yes. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Next, we have Eagle View's Green Team presentation.
I'd like to welcome up Mr. Dipburner, who looks like he's got some pretty energetic and exciting students who
For
he
sure,
will
no nerves
introduce.
at all.
Yeah.
No nerves.
Again, I'm pretty impressed for the number of people who are here on spring break.
Yes.
Yeah, no
This is,
kidding.
Almost at all.
very, very, very exciting to have all the participation tonight. So, Mr. Dipburner, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for having us. My guests here, we have some of our green team here. We've got Sydney, Robbie, Charlotte, and Rylan, right? Okay. All right, we're going to try and warm them up a little bit before they get to the microphone. So the Eagle View Green Team, we applied for a Scott County Recycling Infrastructure and Education Grant a couple of years ago. So this is our second year of being able to utilize that. So it came with a number of supplies. We've got recycling bins for our whole building. Our organics was something that we didn't have a service that took the organics, which if you can imagine at the elementary school how much food gets wasted or comes out. Now that's able to go to organic postings, and there's actually some different pig farms that receive it, and so that got us started with that. We got a big tilt truck that you'll see a picture of that we use they actually gather the recycling, so I'll let them talk about that. But we have more recycling and garbage stations for outside of the building, which is nice when we have our events, that we have those accessible for people that are coming to our events and enjoying that. And then it came with some education for our students and staff. Crystal McNally, there's a little picture of her there. She works at DEMCON. She comes once a month and works with the kids, which has been really, really positive. So that's another good thing that we were able to see from this program. Year one, that is the tilt cart there. Those are now fifth graders, so we run this program with fourth graders. I have student council that comes from fourth grade. And then they elect if they'd like to be a part of our communications team, if they would like to do the green team, or if they'd like to be in announcements. And so that's kind of where this started from. And we've had staff education, and then we've had student education, and then they're now kind of the vehicle that is used to teach, make some announcements, teach the rest of the students, and kind of have some accountability with the kids as well when kids are holding kids accountable, which is always what we're kind of striving for. So that's kind of what year one looked like. The big impacts is lunchroom and classroom. So obviously there's lots of recycling and garbage that comes through. Classroom is a big one. I'll let them talk about what they see when they do that. But then the other one would be the pictures there of our getting everybody through the lunch line when they're done eating and having them sort through their blue recycling versus in what should go there versus what goes through the organics, which is the green in the middle, and then trash is the red. And so the better job that we do with that, the more health conscious that we're being and environmentally friendly. So we worked on those things. And now we have a few things that we will kind of describe from our students here. So we have 12 students on our team that all have elected to do it. And we meet every Wednesday, and we go around the building, and I think Robbie is going to come up here and talk a little bit about what this looks like. So Robbie, explain what we do on Wednesdays when you first come down.
We go and we meet together, and we split up in groups and spread around the school to gather all the recycling.
And what do you give up to be able to do that?
Do it over recess time, so.
You give up recess to do this? Wow.
A highlighted point that I wanted to make sure got brought up. These kids give up their recess.
Thank you for doing that.
To be able to come in and do it. What are the teachers supposed to do so that
Get
we
nice
can
and close to the microphone, could you please?
They're supposed to sort the recycling good, like only papers, non-trash things, scraps bigger than Post-it notes.
And where they put the recycling bins for us.
Outside their room so we can grab it easy.
Okay, and then we bring down the recycling, and where do you end up putting it?
In the big tilt bin.
Tilt bin, and then sometimes we get to go out to the back, right, on the loading dock? Yeah. Yep, we get to go through the custodial area.
Ooh.
To the loading dock. So that's a little bit about kind of what that looks like for them. Thank you, Robbie. And then our next kind of point here is we work with Crystal from DEMCON once per month. I mentioned about that. So Sydney, maybe talk about maybe the picking video or what we know about what happens at DEMCON.
So there's a robot picker, and it like picks out stuff like that's not supposed to be in there, and it like grabs stuff so like it can be more organized.
Do you remember any of the stuff that they told us sometimes goes through the recycling center? Some of the crazy stuff that people have put in there that gets picked out? Maybe not? But they talk about how it's important for us to do a good job so that it makes their jobs easier. They talked about deer carcasses going through.
yeah.
They had all kinds of different stuff that people somehow put into their recycling bins that then they have to deal with. So there's all these robots of actual pickers that go through and pick super fast through the line. And so obviously the better job that we do, the less work it creates for those, and the more efficiency that they'll have at the actual DEMCON plant.
So is this like a field trip to the DEMCON plant?
No, this is just her showing videos.
Oh,
But
okay,
we've talked about that as a next thing, although they're not old enough to visit the site. So we're a bit of a barrier there. The last thing was can you remember anything that she's taught us about what we can and can't recycle?
What we like can't recycle is like obviously like snack wrappers and like all of that stuff. But what you can put in is like paper and no shredded paper, people. That's a lot of things that we see. And there's a one thing, like, if you have, like, a can, don't crush it, because that's just gonna, like, make their, like, machine malfunction.
We talked about that was one we didn't know. 'Cause when I was little, we crushed the cans. We had a can crusher.
Right.
We crushed all the cans. Apparently, we were wrong the whole time doing that. So that was a good thing. So thank you. Or are you doing the next one too? Yes. Okay. So we've also implemented. This is the first year we've had a full share cart. So what's the share cart look like?
So the share cart is, there's two bins. One's like where the food is, and then like the other one is where like the milk and all that stuff is. And like imagine like I had like a not open milk carton, I would put it in there. So, and then like if I was like another person walks by and says, "Oh, I'm thirsty," they can just grab that and then just drink it.
Nice.
Yeah, so we've been able to keep a lot of that back in circulation and get kids that are still hungry an option
Yeah.
with that. So this is the first year that we've been able to do that. Although sometimes we have to make sure the kids get one full round of food before they hit the share cart because they really like attacking the share cart. What's the most popular items of the share cart, do you think?
Goldfish.
PB&J's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One time we found salad in there.
Oh, how dare they?
Last thing maybe, what are some of the things that we find in the teachers' rooms that we're trying to improve that we don't want to see in the recycling? Does anybody want to talk about that? We also work to figure out what we need to encourage them not to do. Liquids, we get sometimes that's gross, right? If we get like the little bit of an energy drink left in a teacher's bin and then that spills all over things, or the paper that's too little, shredded paper. Do Post-it notes go in recycling?
Yes.
Nope. Nope, so just some of those things that they get to audit that, so it's kind of fun watching them come back and they'll have a really specific list of these are the teachers that are doing really well and these are the teachers that need to improve. So leading into the next thing, Rylan, come on up. So what have we done with announcements, Rylan?
We have been talking about like what to not put in the recycling and what you should, because we've been finding like a lot of like pencils and scrap papers, and you're not supposed to like put those in there, because if you have a pencil it might like rip the bag and then and then the trash will go all over, then you have to clean it up and get a new bag. And we have been like doing we're going to do teachers like who has the best recycling bins in in the school, and we don't know like there's going to be like a prize, but we don't know what the prize is yet.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so we'll be rewarding the ones that do the best, because we did notice Mr. Boothie, not that you had a garbage available, but the glass wrappers did go in the recycling, which is not where they would go.
Obviously.
Rylan picked up on that right away. Room for improvement. It's room for improvement. And then the last thing here is part of the education that this crew does a really good job of. Even on Friday, they were looking, kind of monitoring the dump station, but it's trying to teach the kids by using something like this what should go where. And so, Rylan, go ahead and tell us a little bit about the one on the left.
So the goldfish you put in the share bin, and in the Uncrustables like bag, you put that in the trash, and you put the milk carton in the recycling, and then the cheese stick in the share bin, and then the food strawberry tops, you put that in the organics. And then on the right side, you put the milk carton in the recycling, you put the food in the organics.
Thank you. So we've been doing as much as we can to try and reduce the amount of waste, including encouraging kids to only take what they eat, especially some of our younger kids get real ambitious with carrots or something where they've got 46 carrots on their plate, and they're probably not going to be able to eat those, so trying to minimize that so then that doesn't go into the organics. But overall, it's just fun to see them really grab hold of it. Working with Crystal's been fun because she brings a lot to the table. We're going to be getting some shirts now for them to be able to wear, right? That's a popular thing that we would like to be able to do. And then as Earth Day comes up, we'll go kind of clean around the outside, and we have some other things that we do. But for them, again, to give up their recess to be able to make our school a better place is fun to see. So we just wanted to be able to highlight that and let them do their thing here. So good job, guys. Any questions for the kids? They would love to field some questions.
I have a big question. So I know you'll all know how to answer this. What do you think the big idea of recycling is? Why do we recycle? It's a hard one.
Just say it from there.
Yeah.
Say it from there. Don't
You
say it
can't
in
say
the-
a wrong answer.
Yeah.
Don't want to put.
Good job.
Good.
That a girl.
Well, and I'm appreciating that you are being stewards of it and you're being instructed how to do something and then you're doing it. And sometimes we don't always know all the answers as students and as adults, but we just do it because it's asked of us and we're trying to do the right thing. So you will eventually learn all the whys, but good job on being the steward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Recycling
To meet
is
you.
good.
Sunglasses.
On the inside off, how's that?
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Andy, if you'd like to stay there, I'm going to have Andy introduce our next Spotlight on Success, and that will be Dr. Jeff Horton from Southwest Metro Schools.
I'll do it from here so I have the mic.
Okay,
I'd like to introduce, as Board Chair Havlicek said, my colleague Jeff Horton. Come on up. A little bit injured as we speak. He'll talk a little bit about that, I'm sure, but want to welcome Jeff, who is the new superintendent of Southwest Metro. We have a long-standing tradition of partnering with Southwest Metro, and Jeff has done a nice job transitioning in at a difficult time, and want to thank him for being here despite the fact that he's recovering some pretty significant shoulder surgery, I believe it was, right?
Yes, sir. Well,
not to talk about his medical issues in front of everyone, but welcome, Dr. Horton.
Thank you. Well, he probably didn't tell you how we got that. So at the end of one of our superintendent meetings, we had a little arm wrestling contest, and well, obviously
I
he
won.
doesn't have the injury
I
I
won.
do, so you can figure who won that one. So, pleasure to be here, Dr. Jeff Horton, Superintendent Southwest Metro. Thank you for giving me a little time. Members of the board, really just appreciate your commitment to community and service. We are at a time that is really challenging in our country right now, locally, state level, and federally, in terms of we see declining enrollments, we see stagnated student achievement, and we need great leaders at the local level. And we're very appreciative for the leadership here in your community, as well as your superintendent and the board member who so willingly give us once a month. And then over our committee meetings and stuff, you always bring lots of wisdom to our meetings. We appreciate you. You have a long history with Southwest Metro, and thank you for that partnership. We really appreciate that. A little bit what's going on in Southwest Metro. So some of the things that we've been working on right now, being in my first year, the first thing I need to do is just learn what's going on. And so we've been doing a lot of listening. I had over 1,000 engagement opportunities in my first 3 months, a chance just to meet with our member districts, to meet with our staff, students, community members, to understand what's going well. We asked people what are 3 positives that are going on, what are 2 opportunities for growth, and what's 1 goal. If I could wave my magic superintendent wand and make it happen, what wish would I grant you? And we collected all that data, we analyzed it. Then we moved into needs assessments, and we looked at gap analysis. So New Prague was a wonderful partner in that, and looking at what does your programming look like, and where are the gaps in that, and how can we help support that. We also did that internally, and we did needs assessments in human resources, business services, communication, teaching and learning, using best practices from NERN, the Department of Education, and going through that root cause analysis process, facilities and safety and security. We analyzed all that data, we broke that in, and it's been kind of fun. We've been using some new generative AI tools. That's all the craze right now, right? And it's really kind of sped up our strategic planning process. From doing this multiple times, it's really kind of given us some great insights. So some fun tools there. And then we did a report to our graduate campaign, and that was in February, and so we asked, what are the characteristics of a Southwest Metro graduate? Our board is currently working through all that data right now and working that into a revised mission and vision and strategic plan to help us understand what is it that our member districts, what is our community, what do our staff want us to be, and how are we going to go about executing that. So I'm really excited to see where our board takes us, and thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you very much for your effort in that process. And something that is really important that we want to do is we want to really talk about cost controls as well. We want to offer great programming. We have 11 superintendents sitting around the table. We've got 11 board members. What a great environment just to bring a regional group of people together and just have great minds in the room. And if there's going to be a place where we solve some of education's toughest issues, I think this is where it is. And that was one of the things that got me really excited about this job. So having great partners and that collective wisdom and leading us forward is really important. And just excited to see where we go. A few things that we do at Southwest Metro, special education services is one piece that we do. So when students are not getting their needs met in our member districts, we offer alternative settings to meet their needs that might better fit their needs after going through a process and working with the families on that. Career and technical education, we have Southwest Metro High School. Care and treatment is another big part of what we do, online learning, and a battery of other things too. So a lot of really fun things that we do there, really taking that regional approach. And I think having served in greater Minnesota, both rural and urban, it kind of brings it all together. And how can we bring the best of all those worlds together? And so when I think about an area like New Prague, how do we offer all those great opportunities for students? And sometimes we're like, gosh, we just can't maybe quite do this, but maybe if we partner with a neighbor, maybe we can facilitate that process and offer a great program for kids. It's amazing watching all of your students today. I mean, what a blessing here to have so many wonderful students here, parents supporting them. Just great to see all those activities. And those are things that we want to just contribute on a global scale so we meet the needs of all learners, regardless of where they are. So that's a little bit about us. That's a little bit about what we're doing. I just want to come here and introduce myself and say hello tonight. Nothing fancy, just hello, and I look forward to working with you. I'd be happy to take any questions if you have any.
Just that Denny speaks very, very highly of you.
Oh, well, I'm very lucky to have Denny as well, so it's a fun partnership. We appreciate Denny. Great when I need that historical wisdom, he's always there. He's got great perspective. We appreciate it.
I always refer to Southwest Metro as being the great school of second chances. A lot of kids get their second chances through Southwest Metro. Maybe things weren't going real good for them where they were before, or the programs that they were enrolled in, but they get another chance at Southwest Metro, and that's pretty cool.
How can we take some of our learners that have some of our biggest needs, and how do we help them become successful citizens? And all of them, when they turn 18 or 22 nowadays, they're coming out in the world, and we need to prepare them, right? So let's get them ready to go.
Thanks so much, Jeff, for coming.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Left. So
I was kind of wondering if I was going to get a pair.
No photo op either. Right?
Do a photo op later.
Really clean myself up a little bit more.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, we have no open forum, so we'll go to the approval of the agenda. Any changes or updates in the agenda? Okay. If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda. Can everybody speak up at once?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. And then the same with the consent agenda, and there you see it before you. Are there any changes or questions about the consent agenda? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Item passes. Next, we will go down to the board committee reports. And Jeff took care of part of mine, but one of the things that I wanted to mention is that we're working on the strategic plan at Southwest Metro. And we used part of our meeting time last week to do some brainstorming with some of the staff members that came to our meeting after we had our regular meeting and helped us continue on our journey of creating a good strategic plan for Southwest Metro, and we're coming along quite well. So that would be the highlight there. And as far as the Parent Advisory Council for Special Education, we didn't have a meeting since the last time, so I have no report on that. So let's go down the list here. Legislative Committee.
We have not met yet.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, you're going to hear that quite a bit because we've restructured our committee. So some of these committees have just gotten to the point where we're going to start working in the new structure that we have. So you'll hear that maybe quite often. Community education.
I think that's Kim.
Oh, that's you right. Thank you so much. Early Childhood Community Coalition.
Okay, on March 11th, there was a meeting discussing daycare provider appreciation event. We have openings next year for teachers and paras. The ECFE rates will see a slight increase, just like pre-K. There was the MNAFEE conference, or there will be in April. That's the Minnesota Association for Family and Early Education. 17 early childhood teachers completed the Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling, LETRS, training for the READ Act. Early learning was included in the site-based leadership team plan for next year and graduate of a profile, which is exciting. And we are planning a teacher's appreciation in May.
Thank you. Finance, Facilities, Joint Powers Committee. And go ahead again.
So we did have a meeting, Joint Powers, today, and got some updates on how the aquatic center is doing and fitness facility. So basically we're running just about right on estimates, and so we think that we'll finish the year out about as predicted. Last month we were at a high level of memberships, the highest level of memberships for the year, which is a nice thing. And then they've been doing a lot of targeted activities to try to get people to the pool and have some community activities, which they have had some success with. Other than that, that is about all that is going on there.
Okay, thank you. Equity Committee. The Equity Committee has not met formally yet, but one of the things that we're going to be talking about is our great year that we've had so far in the area of equity in our school district. And I think we're going to be looking at highlighting some of our great successes that the different buildings have accomplished in the area of equity. So look forward to that. District Advisory Committee.
The last meeting and next meeting is on the 14th of April, covering reading curriculum, U.S. literature, novel approval, and then planning for the 25-26 school year and getting the committee formed as far as district participants.
Okay, thank you. And New Prague Area Education Foundation.
Yeah, that's some exciting news there. We had our third annual Arts and Activities Showcase last Thursday night. Over 500 people in attendance, which was really fantastic. We'd like to thank the New Prague Rotary and Arts Council for sponsoring the events. $650 was collected in free will donations. And just to make this clear, this committee is gathered for scholarships for our students, so it all goes to that. Next year, the fourth annual event will be on Thursday, March 19th, so please put it on your schedule. And we have upcoming the second annual Give NP Day that will take place on April 30th, 2025. We are looking for 10 $1,000 scholarships for our students, goes directly to our students. If anyone's interested, and we're hoping that people are, I'd suggest you go to the New Prague Area School website, and then there's an Education Foundation link there, and you will find a QR code. So we are looking for and encouraging any donations for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. That takes care of the committee reports thus far, and then we'll go down to the superintendent report, good news and gratitude update.
Yeah, it's spring break in the New Prague area schools, so it's great to have a lot of participation in a time when I didn't think there would be a lot of people at the meeting tonight, but we wish the best to our students, families, and our staff, and hope it's filled with rest, relaxation, and recharge as we plan for a busy but productive end to the school year. I want to thank Ann Christie and Jonathan Balke for their willingness to step up and express an interest in serving the school board. So thank you to both of them. And I wanted to just highlight the Education Foundation. It's a little bit redundant, but the Arts and Academics Showcase last Thursday night at the Park Ballroom was very, very well attended. The Ed Foundation does a great job of putting that all together, and just a great community-wide event of people coming and going and celebrating arts and different activities, and a great community-wide event. So thank you to the foundation, and then of course a plug for the Give New Prague Day on April 30th. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll go to the policy first reading, and I'll turn that over to Karen, and she's doing it all by herself with Kim being on vacation.
Well, good for her. First one, policy 524, internet technology and cell phone acceptable use and safety. The purpose of this policy is to set forth policies and guidelines to for access to the school district computer system and acceptable and safe use of internet, including electronic communications. So this was a policy that we had, and we added in the cell phone part of that. This is a mandatory policy. Comments, questions, anything, Dan?
Not for me.
Jean?
No.
Carrie?
I think just at the next working session, if we can cut out some time to really talk through that, and kind of some consistency through the schools on how it's handled rather than teacher by teacher, I think will be.
My comment is I couldn't believe how thorough that policy is. They cover everything from A to Z in that thing, and it's they left no stone unturned as far as I was concerned.
Yeah,
so,
Brian did a really great job.
Yeah, excellent. So I think it's great.
That's cool. Okay. Moving on, 7-11, videotaping on school buses. The transportation of students to and from school is an important function of the school district, and transportation by the school district is a privilege and not a right for an eligible student. The behavior of students and employees on a bus is a significant factor in the safety and efficiency of school bus transportation. Student and employee misbehavior increases the potential risks of injury. Therefore, the school district believes that video recording student passengers and employees on the school bus will encourage good behavior and, as a result, promote safety. The purpose of this policy is to establish a school bus video recording system. This is a legislative policy. Questions, comments, Danny?
No, I'm good with it. Very good.
Carrie?
No.
Jean?
No.
Dan?
None for me.
All right. 712, video surveillance other than on buses. Purpose, maintaining the health, welfare, and safety of the students, staff, and visitors while on school district property and the protection of school district property are important functions of the school district. The behavior of individuals who come onto school property is a significant factor in maintaining order and discipline and protecting students, staff, visitors, and school district property. The school board recognizes the value of video electronic surveillance systems in monitoring activity on school property in furtherance of protecting the health, welfare, and safety of students, staff, visitors, and school district property. This is a legislative policy. Dan?
None for me.
Jean?
No.
Carrie?
Just understanding where possibly, because it speaks to bathrooms and locker rooms being surveilled, and understanding if that's occurring at this time in our schools.
If that's what?
Occurring at this time in our schools, and where that might be.
I can answer it's not occurring at this time in our schools.
Okay.
I can gather more information. I don't know of a time that it has occurred. I could get some examples, but I'm not aware of it occurring at this time. But I could gather some examples of when it may. But I'm not aware of any time it has in New Prague.
Yeah, because it talks about extreme circumstances, so I'm assuming that if you had to go to that level, it would probably be communicated out to.
I don't know if it would be communicated out depending on the extreme circumstances. But again, it's hypothetical because I'm not aware of any situations, but I'll gather a little more info.
Denny?
And I'm good.
Okay. 905 advertising. The purpose of this policy is to provide guidelines for the advertising or promoting of products or services to students and parents in the schools. This is a recommended policy. Denny?
Good.
Carrie?
Good.
Jean?
No.
Dan?
None for me.
Done.
Thank you so much. Okay, next, Facilities Task Force presentation.
I'd like to welcome up Mr. Boothie, who's going to introduce several of our guests tonight. These gentlemen are representative of about 35 people, including several board members, who are a part of our Facilities Task Force. They met, it seems like a while ago, but it wasn't so long ago. They've met throughout the last several weeks and months and really consuming a lot of information. Our friends from Wold did a very good job of presenting, and I think our task force members felt that they were able to digest that information and then give some good recommendations about how to go forward. So tonight is just a summary of where they've been. I think there's some follow-up questions that you may want to ask, and then I will present after this with regards to next steps with referendum questions, budget discussions, so on and so forth. So Mr. Boothie, do you want to do some introductions? I should say Mr. Most is on vacation, so he was going to be here as well, but he sends his regards from the sun. He's somewhere warm. I don't know where he is right now, but Mr. Boothie?
Yes, thank you, Superintendent Volmuth and School Board. To my right, I have Brent Quast, who is the president of Midwest Bank here in New Prague. He's one of our community members / parents, and we are very appreciative of him being with us tonight. To his right is Vaughn Dirks, who is with Wold Architects. We've had quite the relationship with Vaughn over the years, and we appreciate both of them being here. I would just simply like to open up and thank you all for the opportunity for us to be here. I was part of all 5 of the meetings. In January, as Superintendent Volmuth said, we opened up an online application process for anyone within our school district to apply. We had over 30 applicants, and I will say that's mostly from parents, community members. No one was turned away. Pretty much at every meeting, we had probably somewhere between 25 and 30 members. Quite a few people were able to make all 5. But it was a nice mix between educators, administrators, parents, community members, school board members, and everybody else in between. So we appreciated that. At each meeting, there was an opportunity for questions and answers with Ben, who was from Wold, who did all of our presentations and did a really nice job. There was group discussion, table talk, and everything always ended or began with the minutes from the previous meeting to catch everybody up if they happen to be gone. But we were very appreciative, and everything was right here in the district office. And I'll talk a little bit later about our transparency with the minutes. But at this time, we will turn it over to Vaughn from Wold to go through some more of the specifics.
Nice to see everybody. I feel like after the students are here, I should say 6 years on speech and creative expression, as well as 4 years on the swim team, 200-yard freestyle.
Right company today.
Yes, I was very excited to see all that tonight. Brent is here with me tonight because I'm really speaking on behalf of more sort of here's the data, here's the process we went through, but this process is about prioritization and finding out what the community wants to do, and Brent is representing the entire group because we didn't ask anyone to be public speakers, so I appreciate the fact that he's here as well. Through the meetings, as Tony said, we presented a lot of information and data, and you've actually seen the data before, so tonight's not about presenting the data, it's really talking about how they saw it and going forward. We kind of compare that to Maslow's hierarchy. You start with the base level of physical conditions and capacity and enrollment and work your way up through curriculum and activities and community use as well. And so that's the data that the group saw, as well as going on tours of the building so they could see it firsthand. They were given the charge statement of why are we here? Why are we doing this first place? It was really so they could review the same information that you look at on a regular basis in regards to the facilities and then identify and prioritize those needs from multiple perspectives and really say this is as what we believe as community members we should be doing around the facilities. As Tony mentioned, there were 5 meetings. The first 3 were really a lot of heavy data input, the tours, getting information given to them, financial report from the district's financial advisors, And it wasn't really until meetings 4 and 5 that they had a big chance to go through and start to have a lot of discussion and break into smaller groups to talk about what that information looked like. A couple of slides in here from Baker Tilly in terms of the where funds come from to pay for this, because we're really not talking about operations items, we're talking about the facilities, and that's what we wanted the group to focus in on. This one just shows what percentage comes from where, but the larger question was, this is the types of funding sources that fund these projects. And one of the questions that did come up was, so are you saying that there's a preconception there would be a referenda? No, not at all. We're saying that of all the things that we're looking at here, there's different ways that you can fund them, given what the dollar amount is, what the types of projects are. And so depending on how you prioritize things, that could lead the district in different directions in terms of we can do some of this through long-term facilities maintenance. We might sell capital bonds for this. We might have to go to a referenda for some of these other things if that's where our priorities landed. So in meeting 4, that was really starting to get into what message do you want the community to see? What do you think the community would think about the things that we're talking about? And going through the summaries and the documents, what resonated with your group around each level of the pyramid and what stood out about the presentations. So from discussion excerpts there, you know, there was a lot of conversation around this really is, it's a ton of information. We appreciate getting this. This is a fair process and we appreciate being involved. And what would the community say about how we might fund some of this, including a referendum? So Brent, I'll kind of turn it over to you to be the voice of the community here for a second before we go into more process.
Yeah, I think a couple things stood out to me through the process. Just the coverage of the size of our district, having people from all the communities, a lot of different backgrounds, parents, school board members, obviously. Sat through a couple of sessions with school board members, which was nice to get some of their input. And then I think as you got into the tail end of things, meeting 4 and 5, just seeing that there was a lot of agreement among the group as far as the items that stood out, kind of the main topics where you're looking at safety, the expenses, and then a couple of the older buildings, just more of the mechanical issues that we've got shown to us as we got tours from the staff members, which was also very helpful. One of the things coming out of the meetings was the knowledge that the staff members have, having been in those buildings for so long. I work with a number of organizations who own multiple properties, and I was really surprised to see the lack of deferred maintenance, those sorts of things that you typically have with anybody who owns a number of high-dollar properties. So the buildings are in great shape, but obviously there's some needs there. And I think as you go out to the community, having a number of people who are involved in the business community, who are parents, I think that message gets out that we've got good people in the buildings taking care of our facilities. There are some needs there, and we've got to, as a community, figure out a way to meet those.
In general, the group very conservative in terms of not wanting to ask for too much and saying, is this really a need or is this a want? And we have to make sure that we keep those needs reasonable. And a lot of communication conversation there about how can we make sure other people see what we saw? How can we make sure they understand what we're seeing here? Because seeing it firsthand is one thing, reading about it, or even just going to events in the buildings, as Brent said, most people can't see that. Your staff does a fantastic job of keeping things looking great, running great, to the point where when people are in the buildings, they go, this looks like new. There must not be any issues here, but those things build up over time. So we had a number of different exercises we put the groups through in terms of prioritization, some post-it note exercises, trying to identify what's the most important. What do you think are the top 2 or 3? What's not as important here? Because sometimes that can spur the conversation as well. So in terms of most important items that the group found, physical conditions and safety and security, easy to resonate at the top of that list. If they said, if we're only going to do one thing, we have to take care of what we have, and we have to make sure that it's safe and secure, not just for the students, but anybody in the building at any time. And as Brent mentioned, the older buildings are the ones that stand out. We've done a lot of work in this building, obviously, which used to be known as one of the older buildings, and so Falcon Ridge remains on that list as one of the only buildings that hasn't had a significant reinvestment in it. Although the mechanical items, if you think about the age of the buildings and how old they're getting, That high school is 1995 was when it was designed, 98 when it opened, I believe. And so we're now, 30 plus years into that building, and those mechanical systems are due. Roofs add up in that, and entries and the entry sequence related to safety and security was identified as one of those issues. As we broke it out for them and said, okay, what are the top 2 or 3 then? If it's not just one thing you can pick, but you are going to look at those, what would it be? Again, physical conditions, safety and security reinforced with the group, but now you start to see some of those curricular items come up and looking at how are we using the spaces inside? What's holding us back from doing the type of education that we want to do, if anything, in the buildings? And so those started to come into the discussion. If we said, what's a less critical facility issue? It seems counterintuitive, physical conditions, but what they were looking at there was, in the big list of everything that we studied, what are some things that maybe we can just take care of on our own? Our longer term, the return on investment's not there. We don't really feel that that's an issue. So those came up, as well as the curricular needs that said, is there a big investment for that, and what's going to be the return and type of the education that our students are getting? How much of a difference is that going to make? People didn't want to say, we don't want to do that, but they really wanted to know, if we're going to make that investment, what's the outcome for it? This is not intended to sound like they didn't support activities in community use, but they really said, our activity spaces are in great shape, and we have things that other districts don't have. That's probably not where our priority is going to be right now. Quoting anything? Okay. What should we watch in the future? Obviously, physical conditions have a way of adding up, and we all know that from wherever we happen to live or the types of vehicles we drive. You have to be on top of that. So continuing to watch that and having a good plan, and then keeping an eye on enrollment versus capacity, because right now there isn't an enrollment, a capacity issue at the buildings. You have enough seats for the students that you have, and you can plan for that. So it's nice, because that's not a driver that you have to address right now. And then meeting 5 discussion, this was really getting down into setting the prioritization and getting to that recommendation. So we asked people to review the maintenance reports at their table, start looking at the maintenance for the district, obviously understanding your staff have a lot of expertise there, but if you could look at it and see if anything stood out, what would that be? And then reviewing safety and security and how far that went in the discussion. And all these things, as Tony said, were a lot of transparency there, both on the website as well as the newspaper, and making sure people have that information.
So after every meeting, we would send out the minutes from that meeting to all of the members. We would also update our website to make sure that that was very current. And as Mr. Mueller is back here from the New Prague Times, he was at every meeting and did a really nice job of providing very up-to-date factual information from the meetings for those people that are readers of the New Prague Times. So we appreciate that, and offered tours to any of our other members, of whether it be Raven Stream or Eagle View, or if somebody did miss a tour, we were more than happy to provide that for them at any time. Questions for us?
Before we get into that, findings and recommendation. So here's the outcome of that. So in terms of, their charge was to make a recommendation to you as a board, and so this is what we found in terms of the report. The 2 most critical items to take a look at for the long term are continued maintenance on the buildings, as well as upgrading the safety and security. In terms of maintenance and physical conditions, as I mentioned, the group felt they're really in great shape, but you have to continue to be taking a look at it first and foremost those mechanical systems, because they have a life expectancy to them. Roofs are out of warranty. Looking at the parking issues, paving issues there, because they take a lot of abuse in our Minnesota winters, and then ADA upgrades in the buildings as well. In terms of safety and security, you have great practices in place, but there's some items that could be improved in terms of being more consistent across the buildings, looking at secure entries, more of a Sally Port entry type of system into the buildings, and replacing the classroom locks with a security classroom lock, which is a newer development to make faster lockdown of rooms themselves. Depending on available funding, some of that could be phased in over time, could be summer projects as far as maintenance goes in the district. In terms of curricular initiatives, as I mentioned, there's certainly identified needs, and you want to take a look at what's being taught, how it's being taught, and how the spaces contribute to that. But at this time, That's probably not where the investment is, and neither is it around enrollment and capacity. There's plans for that. You have enrollment projections that you study on a regular basis, but right now capacity is not one of the drivers in there, nor is activities and community use. It goes back to those initial comments of we need to address our maintenance, we need to take a look and make sure that we're in good shape with asset preservation, and make sure that we're following the best practices for safety and security. And then in terms of other thoughts to share, and Brent, you can certainly add to this, but the process was really good for people to see that data. We had a really good cross-section of the community involved. Community and transparency is going to be very important. There was a lot of discussion at every meeting on how can we make sure people see this, that they understand this, that it's not just on the website, or I know where to go look for it when it's on the website. Can we do tours? If we're going to do anything, making sure that the district has a really good communication approach to that. And considering all the funding options that are available. Referenda is one of them, but look at every single funding source that you have and how that could be implemented. That is her recommendation. Questions that I can answer in terms of process, or Brent can answer in terms of opinion.
You mentioned different funding sources, but what kind of funds are we looking for? What, is there a ballpark figure that has been gotten yet, or is that still too premature?
Still working on that in terms of how far you might want to take that. And so I think it would be premature without having some work sessions to talk about, based on what you're seeing here, what would you be looking at? Because for the maintenance projects, I don't think you'd want to fund everything that we studied in terms of the full parameters of that.
Yeah, if I could add just context, the deferred maintenance we receive, I think it was $1.5 million a year that we could use for long-term facilities maintenance. $500,000 of that is dedicated to the Fitness and Aquatic Center. And so what was the number, about $65 million of deferred maintenance that we had over the next 10 years. So there's a pretty big delta between things that we need to do as well as the available resources that we have. I am working with Wold on getting a better idea of what those safety and security measures costs could be, generally speaking. If that's what you would like to do, not committing to anything, but I would get that information and try to share that with you, broken down by the different levels, whether they're entries, zoning, which would restrict people's access into certain parts of a building, and then the third would be the locks, and doing those at each of those buildings. So more information to come on that if that's what you would like.
Can you explain, because it was good that I heard this at those meetings, can you explain to the general public out there what you mean by a secure entrance?
Absolutely.
And which buildings have it and which buildings don't?
Yep. Right now, all of your buildings have secure entrances, and that during the school day, you cannot enter without digital entrance from the office. So you're buzzed into the building, you come in and go to the office. Additional enhancement beyond that would be, instead of having that happen outside the building, to bring people into a secure vestibule where the exterior doors are open, interior doors are locked, and once that buzz-in happens, you're only allowed to go through the office as opposed to into the building itself. It's easier to do at some buildings. Falcon Ridge, for example, the office is on the other side of the hallway. So some of those things involve moving an office towards the front door. If we were doing new school design now, offices would always be adjacent to that front entry. That building in the vintage it was more common to have the offices in the middle of the building, greater availability to all the students. So creating that secure vestibule is really trying to determine how far in you go in the buildings. And different districts handle it differently. We did a lot of work in North St. Paul over the past few years, and they created both a weather vestibule as well as another interior vestibule coming in. So they had a double sort of sally port entrance coming into the building to accommodate that.
And then the kids had to go, after those two, they had to go into an office.
Yep, and
before they could go anywhere else.
The concept there was it would allow people during the school day to have kids come before even the school was open and to be inside that weather protected vestibule before getting to the secure vestibule. But as I said, every district kind of approaches it differently. Right now, based on what you have and getting to an equitable solution, the digital approach of making sure that people buzz into the building and those doors are open only from the inside during the school day is a very consistent and common approach.
Would an example be of what you want the middle school?
Yes.
What we're looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
When we did the work at the middle school, that was a template to create that, and we've actually studied this. When we went for the security grants that were offered a few years ago, which unfortunately did not go very far in the state across different buildings, we priced out and looked at secure vestibules at all the buildings at that time and had that as part of the security grant submittal, which unfortunately the district didn't receive.
I had just a couple things, and fortunately I was able to hear them firsthand, but I think what's going to be really important as we go forward is for people to understand what things are covered by long-term maintenance and what things aren't, because, for example, a lot of the security stuff isn't. So to really, maybe you can talk to that and just kind of start that conversation that's going to continue on building as we go. And also to just shout out the community members that were a part of this. It was invaluable. Your time was just so precious, and we were so thankful to have you.
A lot of great conversations.
And Wold as well.
But
you were getting
we only facilitate. We always say that passion is what drives a lot of these issues, because if people aren't passionate about or committed to it, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't rise up, especially when the buildings look as good as they do.
Right.
Probably the best way for people to think about the long-term facilities maintenance program is it only applies to things that are being replaced from a maintenance standpoint. So if the carpet wears out, you can replace carpet with it. If you need lighting updated and replaced, you can do that. Mechanical systems would be part of that, but it's like for like replacement. We can't, for example, move an office as part of the security projects as part of this. So it really is facility maintenance. You can apply it to roofs, you can apply it to other items. Unfortunately, the funding system that goes towards this does not cover what any district needs to have on an annual basis to keep their buildings in like new or really good condition. It's based on funding formulas that the state has out there, and it's designed to keep you up to speed to a certain degree to help address some of those critical issues, but every district falls behind over time because there's just not enough funding to maintain all the buildings without some type of voter investment or community investment in that.
Anything else?
The point is that we benefit from newer buildings, but they all came online at about the same time, and now we're at that 20 to 30 year point where roofs and different things, that deferred maintenance that happens to our homes and our cars, like was mentioned before, is now going to hit 3 of our buildings at about the same time, just because of how our buildings were built. And so I too want to echo, I think the community members did a terrific job, and just the amount of information that they had to consume in a small amount, and which is a testament to Wold and the work that they did as well. So any other questions?
I think just in the conversations we had at the last meeting, at meeting 5, every single table brought up the fact that the buildings are in such good condition by the people who have to do that. So there was a lot of praise being put on our staff from a lot of the community members saying, this place looks great considering what we've had it for as long as we've had it. So I think that should be a shout out to Craig and his team too.
Well deserved, that's for sure. Well, thank you so much for the report and for the work that you folks have done on this committee. Super.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And next we go to Andy with the Planning for a Success presentation.
They talked about the fun stuff, and now I'll talk a little bit more about some potential budget reductions, if and when that's the road we need to go down. But what I'd like to do is merge, this is the objective that I gave you last month. What I'd like to say our objective is now is to kind of create that roadmap for decision making in terms of some kind of weighty things that you all have to weigh in on over the next several weeks and months. So there's a lot of consistency to what you've seen before. This is really a merging of several different agenda items, and then just some clarity around the decision-making process that I'm going to present as an option to you all. Again, some opening thoughts. We sat here 365 days ago, and it's not lost on me that at that point we were asking you to act on $3.5 million of reductions. So I'm glad we're not, we're beyond that. But we still have concerns over revenue and increases in revenue. And so we will we have been and will continue to be good stewards of taxpayer investment into our schools. The physical state of our buildings is a great example of that. And thank you for mentioning Mr. Most and his team for the work that they do, because a lot of it is a testament to the passion and the enthusiasm and just the care and concern that they bring to our operational side of the endeavor. We need to have these proactive discussions, all the while knowing that they're difficult. And even people hearing these things, though they're 365 days removed from budget reductions, brings up some negative feelings and emotions and can have an impact on morale and culture. And so we need to continue to look at and promote the New Prague Way, myself included. I ask for you to join me in that. And despite the fact that these are discussions we have to have, we are committed to some way, shape, or form maintaining high levels of programming for all of our students. And no structural budget reductions are going to happen this school year. Again, I want to echo that one more time, but we're not making structural reductions this year. So I'm going to go through much of this fairly quickly for respect of your time. This is where we were at. You've seen this now multiple times. Do nothing is still an option. You have 6, which is capital and/or operating and/or capital projects. Those can be broken out, and we can extend this list as well. But in all reality, we're talking about a runway to, are we going to do something in the fall? And if not, then we just need to carry the conversations forward. But that's what kind of think the decision that we have at this point, not tonight, but over the next several weeks and months. So just as a reminder to you all, these slides are the same as you had before. I'm going to go back. I'm on spring break too. No, I'm not. Oh, what did I do?
That was really fast.
Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. I was going to try to go quick out of respect to you all. In terms of transportation, this was what we originally talked about. We didn't make any cuts. We are just adhering to what our school board policy was. That did mean that we took 2 of our bus routes offline. It saved us some money last year, but we could expand those walking distance even more, and you can see what they are on the option 1 and option 2, both at elementary and secondary. You can see the impact as if they were present day numbers, and it would be about $210,000 in savings that we would have. And by doing that, we would get to the maximum walking distance for our students. We can't go any more beyond the 1.5 elementary and 2.0 secondary. That's mandated by state law. So that's one potential reduction. We also talked about, as an option, on the right-hand side of the screen, increasing class sizes. And this is just a starting point. If we were to get to that point, I would engage you in a discussion about what they could be. As you can see the progression from prior to last year, what they currently are. But if we made those jumps, be 24 in kindergarten all the way to 32 in 5th grade, we could probably reduce another 4.5 FTE out of our elementary schools, which is about $360,000. Now, if we needed to make further reductions, that number could go higher, but then those class size targets are also going to go higher along with it. Again, and when I say class size targets, know that there's always a range based on cohort size at elementary school, based on selection of choices at the secondary school. So we quote ranges, but it can be higher. So in these slides, you'll see it could go from, prior to planning for success, our class size stayed at 30, but there are class sizes right now at the middle school that are 35, right? That's just the average, and that's what we staff at. If we needed to move away from a 7-period day at the middle school and move to a 6-period day, which would be our recommendation if a change had to be made, option 1 would save about 6 additional FTE, and option 2, which would be a 6-period day and class size increase to something like 34, which would put that closer potentially at times to 39, right? Because there is a range that happens. We could save another $640,000 if you were to add those 2 together. And again, in the high school, we've talked about this, kind of that same mentality from a 7-period day to a 6-period day. And then the next layer up would be a 6-period day with an increase in class sizes. And to our high school teachers, they'll sit here and say that that would be closer to 40. And some of the classes, those, because of it's an average and there's a range, that number would go up. And depending on where you're at, option 1 is going to be really the electives. And then option 2 gets into the core classrooms of English, language arts, math, science, and social studies. If both of those reductions were to take place, you're over $500,000, $560,000. As a reminder, we cost out a teacher, especially a newer teacher, at about $80,000 salary and benefits. That's how we get to those round numbers. Questions, comments? If you add these 4 potential reductions up, I did it in my office earlier, it's between $1.7 and $1.8 million. And those could be a starting point. But if the board's direction was and our charge was that we needed to make more reductions, these are the types of things that I'm going to bring to you with more detail. And again, if these are all added, the total cost would be, as of now, 1.8, we'll call it $1.8 million. Okay? So, again, roadmap for decision making, and we talked about this at our study session. But what I've asked for you and tried to give you clarity, and now the community clarity in April, as we project forward to continue at both our study or our work session and the business meeting to have discussions around operating referendum in the fall of 25 and/or capital projects referendum in the fall of 25. Green means go. If you can tell us to continue to go, we will do some sort of staff and family survey to get input from our internal stakeholders to see where they're at in the process. If it's yellow, one of the cautions that I already have on my list of things to do tonight is to do a better job of costing out from WOLD what those safety and security measures could be and what the cost of each of those different layers would be. So I will hope to have that information for you in April. We have a proposed window of staff and family survey at the end of April. We would continue to bring that information forward into May. Again, green means go, yellow means caution, red means stop. We discuss those results in May, our staff and family results. I would then want to commission some sort, if it's green is go still, some sort of community survey to get a broader perspective of our voter base. We used a company, Morris Leatherman, before for a survey. I would like to do something like that to really see where the whole community is, not just the people who are most intimately involved in our schools is. So that would be something that we would continue to flesh out. Again, a proposed window of May 15th through the 30th. June, you would have those community survey results at our first meeting, our work session or study session. I think it's important for us internally to make a decision around June, whether or not we're going to do something this fall and what that looks like. We could wait a little later. I think we have 82 days prior to the election, and I don't have my notes with me right now, so it could be into August, but we're already a little bit delayed if this is the direction the board wants to go, in order to continue to engage the greater community and to make sure we're communicating and marketing and getting these messages out. I would propose that we do so by June, if at all possible. So it's a pretty quick timeline with a lot of things that needs to get done, but I'm asking for your kind of stamp of, yes, this is a plan that you agree with, or questions that you have or more information you would like me to gather in the weeks ahead. So with that, questions, comments? So my one action item is to cost out, not myself, but to have some people who are a lot smarter and better at me to cost out 3 different layers of potential safety and security upgrades. And they would be entrances, they would be zoning, and they would be locks. And not all of our buildings don't have some of our buildings have the locks where you can lock from the inside, the internal metric. But when you think about time and safety and security, that's critical. So it's not every classroom. but it would be a majority of them in our buildings. So those will be the three things that I will bring to you in April. Any one last chance for questions?
No, I think you presented it well. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have final school board committee assignments. Is there any concerns about them? Is everybody okay with the committee? Okay. And I'll get Ann up to speed as to what committees she'd like to join, so she'll be part of the situation coming up. Update on vacancy, we've got that taken care of. Approval of the Spanish class trip.
Mr. Chair, could we announce for people who weren't a
Oh,
part of the 5 o'clock
sure.
meeting, if you don't mind?
That's a good
The
point.
decision of the board earlier today?
Yes. We had an interview session with Ann Christie, and after the interview, we had a discussion, and then we took a vote, and we approved to have Ann Christie be our new replacement for the position open on the school board. Thank you. Okay. Approval of the Spanish class trip. Is there somebody that's, okay,
Yeah,
there we go.
Alexa Barda's going to come up. Again, all of these staff members who are working on their spring break.
I
Let's give her a
know.
round of applause for
Yeah.
being here. And she's here at the second half of the meeting, right? Not to embarrass you, but welcome. Please tell us a little more about the Spanish trip. I think you have information in your packet about that, and we'll ask for you to act on that once you're done.
Sure. Thank you, Superintendent Volmuth, and thank you, School Board. I am here on behalf of the Spanish Department, New Prague Area Schools Spanish Department, to seek approval for our trip to Spain this summer, along with my colleagues Carrie Schrader and Michelle Kepp, who are the high school Spanish teachers. Unfortunately, they could not be here tonight, but I'm here to represent the department. I am the Spanish teacher at the middle school. My name is Alexa Barda, and as I said, I'm here to seek the approval for our trip, which will be this June, the 10th through the 22nd of June. I believe we have already provided you with an itinerary of our trip for the time that we will be there. This was created by CETA. That is the tour company that we are organizing our trip through. CETA Tours was established in 2002 in Menominee, Wisconsin, and their staff is very well experienced in arranging student group tours abroad. They have over 40 years of experience. And Carrie Schrader, as I mentioned, she is the high school Spanish teacher. She has been working with CETA Tours since 2006, actually, when she first went with her first student group from New Prague area schools to Spain. We have a few different connections, personal connections to Spain. Carrie has lived in Madrid for a year, and so she has a lot of experience that way. She has taken several groups of students abroad to Spain throughout the years. I also studied abroad in Spain as a college student, and so it holds a special place in my heart as well. And then 2 years ago, Carrie and Michelle Kepp, who, as I mentioned, is the other high school Spanish teacher, they both took students to Spain, and they're going to be doing the same itinerary this time as they did 2 years ago during that trip. This year we have our largest group of students that we've ever had on the trip. We have 3 teachers from New Prague going along, so Carrie, Michelle, and myself. We have 6 parent chaperones and 16 students, which Carrie said is the largest group of students she's ever brought to Spain. So it's exciting to see increased involvement and interest. So with this ratio of students to chaperones, it will work out to be roughly 2 to 3 students per adult. We'll also be traveling with a Spanish teacher from Norwood Young America. Her name is Jennifer Schramm, and 2 of her students from Norwood Young America. And they have traveled with us in the past. So Carrie is familiar with this teacher, and they know what to expect as far as rules and expectations for the trip. As far as the costs of the trip, we have 25 paying participants. So because of that, the overall cost of the trip, or I shouldn't say the overall cost, the cost for each student is $4,469. So this is what an individual student pays to go on this trip. And that price includes round-trip airfare from Minnesota to Spain. And then once we are in Spain, we have a few shorter trips on our itinerary that involve air travel from Malaga to Barcelona. The cost also includes land transportation. This will be via motor coach and metro, as well as hotel accommodations, breakfast and supper provided daily, and admission to all activities that are on the itinerary, so museums, that kind of thing. Meals are eaten together as a group at either the hotel or the restaurant, depending on where we are that day. Lunch is not included in this cost. Typically, lunch is expected to be on your own. It's typically faster grab and go as we're leaving cities or on our way to our next destination. Each student has paid for the trip on their own. Some parents have worked together to provide fundraising opportunities, such as Pizza Ranch. They had a tip night where students could work bussing tables and earn tips that would go towards their trip costs. They also had a hot dog stand at a New Prague business as well to raise funds. As you can tell by the itinerary, most of our days are pretty full with activities. There is a little bit of free time, and during that free time, students are required to go together in groups of at least 3 for safety reasons. However, Carrie and Jen Schramm, who is the Norwood Young America teacher, and the other chaperones, we typically invite students to join us on, our own excursions that we go on during that free time if they choose. For example, a couple of summers ago when Carrie went on this trip, she took some of our New Prague students to one of the nearby parks, and they rowed boats in the lake at the park. That was not on the itinerary, but it was an example of something that they could do with their free time. And as far as the rules go, there are participant rules, as with any school-organized trip. Participants were given a form to sign with those participant rules, and this is required by the CETA Tours Company. Students are also required to abide by the Minnesota High School League rules while on this trip. One of the CETA Tour participant rules that I'd like to point out is that students will not be able to enter another hotel room other than their assigned room. Female students will be roomed together, boys will be roomed together. Parent chaperones will room together in groups of 2, and the teachers will have their own rooms. There are communal meeting areas in each hotel where we will be staying if students want to spend time together in those communal meeting areas. The teachers will also do a room check every evening before going to bed to make sure that all students are in their rooms and accounted for, as well as giving any last-minute announcements for the day. And then after room checking, Carrie or another chaperone will go to the lobby area and just kind of camp out there just to make sure nobody sneaks out at night. So we have all eyes on them just to make sure everyone stays safe and has a good experience. We really look forward to taking these students and parents to Spain so that they can experience the culture that us as Spanish teachers have fallen in love with. And also, it gives the kids a great opportunity to use the language that they have been learning in their Spanish classes in a real-world setting. And our ultimate goal is that students will want to continue studying Spanish at New Prague High School next year and even after they graduate from New Prague to continue it into, college and using it with whatever their future plans are after they leave New Prague. And with that, I will open it up to any questions that you may have.
Any questions on the trip?
Do the kids have to be current Spanish students? Or they would have had taken it somewhere along the line?
Let me see.
I'm sorry, I'm putting you
No,
on the spot.
that's okay. That's all right. Yes, I believe they do have to be current Spanish students at New Prague High School.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with the Spanish trip. But in general, I've been asked along the way, why does the board have to approve these? Is it because of liability, insurance? I'm just not familiar with that, and so I thought I'd ask on behalf of anybody else that has that question.
I think it's a tradition for the board, especially for out-of-state travel, before liability
Okay.
and insurance, to approve these. I don't know the complete history, but
I believe it's part of it's in our policy as well.
yeah, I'd have to go back and I can research what policy it's grounded in, but it's about liability, especially for out-of-state travel.
Okay, general.
And to make sure
And out
that
of
we have
country in
the
this case.
correct number of chaperones for the size of the group, and that all the dots are, all the I's are dots and everything.
Sounds like an awesome trip, though.
Yes, it should be exciting.
Thank you for being willing to take them.
Yeah,
Opportunity for everyone.
of course.
And then what I understand, the way that the funding comes for it, that it's 100% funded by the fees of the students, that the school district is not pitching in anything for wages, travel, or anything like that. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that is correct.
Right.
And none of the chaperones are paid for this. They pay either a prorated fee or, depending on how many students, for every certain amount of students, a teacher gets to go for free. So in this case of CETA tours, their ratio is 1:8. So for every 8 students that are going on the trip, 1 teacher gets to go for free. But other than that, we all pay on our own.
Okay, and so the chaperones are there for free, so does that include the teachers as well, or is this a compensated trip for the days that they're...
I'm sorry, I misspoke. The teachers get to go for free, but not the adult chaperones. So the adult chaperones are paying a prorated.
But is it compensated time or uncompensated time for the trip?
Not compensated.
Uncompensated, okay.
Yep, uncompensated.
Right.
Yep.
For staff, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the Spanish trip this summer.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
That's it.
De nada.
Dziękuję. Approval of the 25-26 district calendar. Andy?
Yes, in your packet, and I've sent you information about this. We were approved. Let me get to my notes here, forgive me. We've had a tradition in New Prague for some time of a pre-Labor Day start. So I shared some statistics with you in terms of survey from both our students and our families, which is overwhelmingly in support of that pre-Labor Day start. We weren't able to make that application to the state until December, and so this is a little bit of a delayed agenda item. The good news is that the state approves our pre-Labor Day start flexible learning plan for 3 academic years, so we'll be able to expedite this process going forward. But I'd ask for your consideration of our school calendar based on a pre-Labor Day start, which allows us to end before the Memorial Day holiday.
Any questions?
Slightly after the Memorial Day holiday, but before June.
Any questions concerning the calendar? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the 25-26 district calendar.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Next, we have approval of memorandum understanding for extended school year teaching. Tony, thank you.
Yes, a memorandum of understanding was written up. One of the things that has kind of happened since COVID is summer school teachers have been very difficult to hire. There are 2 different types of summer school. One is targeted services, and the other one is extended school year services, which is students on IEPs. So we have, we raised during COVID the targeted services to $35 per hour. What has happened is our extended school year teachers who receive their per day amount of money, because a lot of our extended school year teachers are first, second, and third year teachers, they're well under the $35 per hour. So what the memorandum of understanding is that that would make that equal, that the ESY teachers would also receive $35. It doesn't go beyond that. So basically what we're asking is that everybody that teaches either targeted services or ESY receives at a minimum $35 per hour. Once they get above that, ESY teachers would get their normal pay. Targeted services does not change.
And for special needs teachers, isn't part of their salary covered by state aid for special needs?
Well, there's potential reimbursement for that, yes. Yep.
So it isn't completely for that. Questions?
What's the estimated gross cost over?
It depends
summer
upon
services on
how
this?
many teachers would actually teach, around $400 to $500 per teacher. So if we have one teacher, $400 or $500, two teachers, $400 or $500 per teacher.
About how many teachers do we typically use over a
it
summer?
would only be the ones that their hourly rate, would only be the younger teachers. And we did lose a number of teachers to our buyout last year, special education, so they were much more expensive. So we would be getting by with a lot cheaper this year. The number of ESY teachers, probably 8 to 10. The number of teachers that this memorandum of understanding would probably address, anywhere between 1 and 3 or 1 and 4.
So we're talking less than $1,500. Right.
Correct.
I think it's important to note, though, it's a way to, if I may, to really work to try to extend the school year. And I think that's a really important thing for students, especially students who are behind. Time is one of our greatest variables and one of our greatest barriers, and incentivizing our staff to get involved in the summer, I think, is really important as we try to make more robust summer options for students who need additional support, right? So I think it's a good investment. I know we want to be cost sensitive, but hopefully it helps promote student achievement for our students as well, and some of our students who have some of the biggest challenges.
You mentioned potential reimbursement for a part of it. What determines that?
Well, special education, there is reimbursement from the state of Minnesota. That's probably about a 32-hour course if I were to teach that right here.
Well, yeah, I'm just in general.
So there is reimbursement for special education. And that can be during the school year, that can be during the summertime for paraprofessionals, materials, equipment, salary, all based upon the discipline, the disability of the student. So there's no specific dollar amount that I can give you, but special education, there is reimbursement for those services.
Makes sense.
But not all the kids in summer school are special ed kids?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
Thank you, Tony.
Pardon me?
Thank you, Tony.
Oh. New Prague Area Education Foundation grant approval. Did everybody have a chance to look at that grant? And it's a great grant for, I think, a nice learning tool that they're going to have in that class. So, any questions about it or comments? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the foundation grant.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. And last on the agenda is the adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Item passes. Thank you, everybody, for a good meeting.